Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Keep 7 Gaming YouTube channel. Today we're going to be playing a deck that I've been calling Golgari Superfriends. And all it is basically I threw a smattering of my favorite black and green planeswalkers into a deck. It's not true Super Friends, it's not planeswalkers only. There are some other cards in here. We have Paradise Druid to ramp up to our planeswalkers. We also have Leyline Prowler. I think the Death Touch on Leyline Prowler is super. I think it's super efficient, and it's really it'll help stave off opponents. With maybe especially mono red and things like that. The Death Touch, the 2/3. Makes it really powerful, and it gives you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. So this has a lot of utility in this deck. The Death Touch, the Lifelink, and then the ramp. So this guy is your best friend when it comes to brewing in Golgari. I mean, it does cost 3 mana, so it can take a while to get out there. But if you watched my last video with Teamer Elementals, I think 3 mana card. You can make decks with 3 mana cards. They might take a while to get out there, but this guy has so much value in the Death Touch, in the Lifelink, in the ramp ability. So we have essentially 8 ramp cards to ramp us up to our planeswalkers. On the lower end, just to round out the other cards that we have in the deck, so we have Agonizing Remorse, which is, hopefully we have a Paradise Druid. If we don't, this is our second turn play, hopefully removing something from their deck to slow them down significantly so that we get some time to ramp up to our planeswalkers. If not, you can remove something on their higher end that might be a win con. The other 2 cards that I want to talk about are Treacherous Blessing and Mystic Repeal, as they kind of work hand in hand. So Treacherous Blessing, when it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. It's an enchantment, so it remains on the battlefield. When you cast a spell, you lose 1 life, and if it becomes the target of a spell or ability, you sacrifice it. So the idea is, I mean, this deck doesn't have a lot of draw power in it, but drawing 3 cards is powerful in and of itself. But obviously, you don't want to have this still on the field, because anytime you cast a spell, you lose a life. It's not something you really want to have to contend with. But we have a lot of ways to get this off of the battlefield once it's on the battlefield. One of the ways is Mystic Repeal. It's a 1 mana spell, put target enchantment on the bottom of its owner's library. Very efficient way to get rid of that card, or to get rid of Treacherous Blessing. I mean, if you target it with Mystic Repeal, it gets sacrificed. I don't know that Mystic Repeal actually puts it on the bottom of an owner's library. Every time I've done it, I actually haven't really paid attention. I'm just excited to get it off the field. But either way, it's a great way to get it off the field. It's a 1 mana thing, so you're not dumping a lot of mana to get this removed. And then we have a bunch of other ways to get rid of it. Maybe not a bunch, but I think Vraska is our other way to get rid of Treacherous Blessing. So let's kind of transition our focus onto the Planeswalkers, onto the Super Friends of the deck now. So Vraska, the Golgari Queen, 4 mana Planeswalker, costs 2 mana, a black and a green to cast. She has 3 abilities, a +2. You may sacrifice another permanent. If you do, you gain 1 life, draw a card. So this ability is what we're going to be using to sacrifice Treacherous Blessing, hopefully. Most of the time, you don't really have many targets for that ability. There are other ways that you can have targets for that ability, but a lot of the, if early game, you're probably only going to have Treacherous Blessing as a target. Late game, you'll have tons of targets for that +2, but early game, you're probably using that +2 to get rid of Treacherous Blessing. Her -3 is a good way to get rid of any small dorks, any small weenies, anything that has a converted mana cost 3 or less. You can destroy that with her -3. And then her -9, her ultimate is whenever you get an emblem with whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. That has a lot of synergy with another Planeswalker that kind of goes hand in hand with her, Garruk, Cursed Huntsman, 6 mana for a black and a green to cast. His 0 ability is he creates 2 black-green wolf creature tokens with whenever this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on each Garruk you control, which is something that we want to happen. We want these wolves to die. So Vraska has some synergy with Garruk because you can use her +2 ability to sacrifice one of his wolves. You gain a life, draw a card, you get some card advantage. You've sacrificed a wolf, so you're beefing up the loyalty of your Garruk. He has a -3. I would never recommend using his negative abilities until you reach the ultimate. But if you are in a pinch, you can use the -3 to destroy target creature, draw a card. And then his -6 is you gain an emblem with creatures you control have +3/+3 and have trample. So you want 2 of his wolves to die, so you can get him to 7, 7 loyalty, and then you want to ult with him as soon as possible, because that's basically our win con. And an easy way to get that done, you can, if you have a pretty stable battlefield and you're in control of the game, you can Vraska twice on his wolves, and you can do it that way. Alternatively, a faster way to get that done might be to cast Liliana, which is another one of our super friends. She costs 6 mana as well, 4 and 2 blacks to cast. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. Her +1 is create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Her -4 is each player sacrifices 2 creatures. So if you have already played Garruk, you've already used his 0 ability, the wolves have survived, you're able to cast Liliana. You can then use her -4, sacrifice the 2 wolves that you just casted. Hopefully you have another board presence like a Leyline Prowler, a Paradise Druid, so you can stave off any attack. You can use her -4, sacrifice the 2 wolves. Garruk is at 7. Your next turn, you ultimate with him. Whatever's on the battlefield will get the +3/+3 in trample, and then you can work from there. You can use her ability, the 2/2 black zombie creature token. All of a sudden, it's a 5/5. So yeah, and then she has a -9 of each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. I really only use her for the +1 and -4s. But as you can see, once you get these planeswalkers out there, there's a lot of draw power here. Sacrificing a creature, gain a life, draw a card, and stuff like that. So Treacherous Blessing is a very early play. I would even possibly recommend reducing this to 2. 3 is pretty solid because you'll probably get it if you don't have it in your opening hand. You'll probably get it in your first couple draws. And one of the problems I ran into, the reason it's in here at all is because if you don't have one of the super friends, or if you don't have many plays early game, it's a great card to have to just draw 3 cards, get more options in your hand so that you can start playing more stuff. And then the last super friend that we have, or the last planeswalker that we have in the deck, is Ob Nixilis, the Hate Twisted. Whenever an opponent draws a card, he deals 1 damage to that player. His -2 is destroy target creature. Its controller draws 2 cards. So it's more ways for you to destroy Garruk's wolves, possibly destroy Liliana's token if you want. The only reason you would really do that is to get the card draw. And also, I mean, if you have a Liliana zombie token out there, you get card draw just because something died, and then Ob Nixilis, with that ability, its controller draws 2 cards. So ideally, you're using this on one of your wolves. You kill your own wolf, you draw 2 cards. And then, and that's about it. But yeah, so that's kind of our high end. I also have 2 copies of Casualties of War. This is mainly for, this card is just super valuable in general, but, if you're playing a deck that has artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers that are becoming a problem, this is your removal for that. This is your catch-all. Obviously it's you have to survive to the late game, but hopefully with all the free creatures that you can create with Garruk, with Liliana, hopefully with your Death Touch, you've been able to stave off your opponent for long enough where you can actually cast this. It is 6 mana, so it can take a while. But moving on to the mana base, I have 4 Overgrown Tomb, 4 Temple of Maladies, 2 Indatha Triumph, 2 Zagoth Triumph. This might be too much tapped lands, but we also have a ton of untapped lands. We have 12 untapped lands, and then 8, 9, 10, 11 total. So we have 50-50 on untapped versus tapped lands. It seems like a pretty healthy mana base right now. Obviously, they're only working with the 2 colors. The only reasons I included these was just to have more, more dual lands. You can cut these and just bump up each one of these by 2, but I like having more, I will take the sacrifice of having more tapped lands and dual lands because, if any of these show up in your opening hand, it could just help shore up your mana base. Alternatively, you could cut maybe 2 of these for a Fabled, actually, I might do that right now. Cut a couple of these for a Fabled Passage. So we'll incorporate 2 of these now. I think I'm going to cut a Swamp for a Castle Lochthwain. Maybe a Temple of Malady as well. Just cut down on the tapped lands. because I think Castle Lochthwain obviously is pretty valuable. No real reason to have Castle Garenbrig. I mean, we have enough. We have enough ramp as it is. 2 castles might be a bit much, but we'll play it for now this way and see how it goes. But yeah, so this is the deck. For those of you best of 3 players out there, other cards that you want. Oh, I also have. I didn't even mention them. The 4 Murderous Rider. I mean, it's removal. It's a great creature. It has the lifelink in case you need it. Forgot to mention him in the first place. But as far as sideboarding, Assassin's Trophy. Assassin's Trophy is just some great removal. Then there's, what is it, Death Sprout. Just more removal stuff, spot removal type things. Spot removal type things, destroy target creature. Things like that. Those are other things you can incorporate into the sideboard if you're finding that your opponent has a lot of things early that you want to remove. You can cut the Agonizing Remorse, incorporate that. Maybe cut out the Mystic Repeal if you feel like you have enough removal for getting rid of your Treacherous Blessing once you've played it. But yeah, that's the deck. This is what we're running with, and without further ado, let's get into some matches. Alrighty, our first opponent for the day is nobody. So we have a turn 2 play, we have 2 turn 3 plays, and then we have ramp up to Liliana. So I'm gonna keep this hand. We can play the Zagoth Triumph tapped. We'll play the Swamp, play Agonizing Remorse. Hopefully we draw into a land by an untapped land, so that we don't have to play a Scryland and then Leyline Prowler. But that's what I'm thinking we do. Or possibly what we do is play Temple of Malady into Swamp and then hold the Zagoth. So we get, if we can scry into an untapped land, I think that's probably the best play. So we'll play Temple of Malady first. Hopefully we scry into the untapped land. Play Swamp, Agonizing Remorse. Hopefully we've gotten the untapped land. We can play Prowler. We can hold on to the Zagoth Triumph for, if we have an awkward turn 4 or 5. Now we just simply have to wait for nobody to get their act together.
A few moments later.
But I like these. I like these better than the default ones. Yeah, so it seems like nobody isn't there. Nobody's there. I guess this is what I get for playing in casual, but I guess this is a good time to talk about the deck. I wouldn't take this to... Oh, there he is. Okay, great. And we drew into the untapped land first, so that's actually... we don't have a turn 1 play, so we might as well just scry. We get a castle there. I think we have enough toys in our... Well, no, we don't have enough toys in our hand. So we'll scry that to the bottom. I think we have enough lands at this point. Alrighty, so let's get in there. Let's see what he's doing in there. So he's Teferi, Shatter the Sky. This is interesting. Smothering Tithe. Whenever a player draws a card that you can pay 2, it doesn't create a treasure token. Teferi can bounce stuff, but I'm not too worried about that, so let's just get rid of the Smothering Tithe. I don't want to have to pay for my mana. Okay. That's insanity. Our next opponent for the day is Midian's Cabal. Hopefully Midian's Cabal is a bit more committed to being here on time and will not scoop after the turn 2. But maybe nobody had somewhere to be. Alrighty, so I like this hand. We have a turn 2 play. We have 2 turn 2 plays, so we might do Paradise Druid and then into Agonizing Remorse. I like having Ob Nixilis. I'd love to have another Planeswalker. We have Overgrown Tomb as an untapped land. I wouldn't like to pay 2 for it, but so we're playing a Boros deck. I don't like that because that means it could be a little bit aggro, which might not be the best situation for us. We drew into an untapped land, though, that we don't have to pay mana or pay life for, which is nice. Okay, so we're playing. This might be cycling. Do I want to find out if it's cycling now, or do I not care? We'll wait. Let's get our ramp down. We'll figure out what they have next turn. We'll play this. I mean, we have a bunch of tapped lands. Unless you control a swamp. Do I control a swamp? I do not control a swamp. So these would be tapped. This would be tapped. I don't think that they're going to be playing. Okay, so it's not Jeskai cycling with Improbable Alliance. What is he playing? Like maybe an Ominous Seas or something? Sea Dasher Octopus. Interesting. So maybe what we do is deny him the card draw. Swing in. He might have some removal for our Paradise Druid, so that might have been a mistake. But if he's just generating 1/1 flyers, we can just attack him with the Murderous Rider and get the lifelink. Hopefully he doesn't have a shock for our Paradise Druid. Hopefully he's trying to plan something else. I'm glad we shut down that the Sea Dasher Octopus, though. I want to deny him that card draw. And we have a swamp on the field now, so Castle Lochthwain can... fucking knew it. Castle Lochthwain can come down. He might have wanted to have saved that for a Murderous Rider. We don't have ramp, which kind of sucks, but... So let's see here. Is Agonizing Remorse... I mean, it's just 1 damage from the fairy, so let's get rid of... May cast and target non-creature 3 less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. I think Narset's a bigger problem than Vadrock. We can get rid of Vadrock with Murderous Rider, so if he wants to mutate onto it, we just get rid of that. He's got nothing in his hands, and we've got options. That's fine. Okay, so he scryed to the top, so whatever he got in his hand he wanted. Contending with these 1/1s is going to be a little bit of an issue. Let's just get rid of that. We are decreasing our life total pretty significantly, but we have the Murderous Riders for the lifelink. Let's see what that card is that he drew. Okay, Winged Words. Oh, that sucks. That's tough. We need an untapped land, but we needed that now, not later. So this game could be over. We don't have a lot of reach. This deck is very low to the ground, so this is just a bad matchup in general. Two, four, six. We're dead. Alright, well, what are you going to do? That's one of the vulnerabilities of the deck. We didn't even really get started. They just had too many flyers to deal with. Our next opponent for the day is Megao. I don't like this hand at all. I like this hand a lot better. Again, would love to see any other planeswalker besides Ob Nixilis, but what are you going to do? We'll play the tap land first, into Paradise Druid, into Leyline, into Ob Nixilis, I suppose. We're not gonna make the mistake of attacking. We need our ramp. Let's fetch a what? I don't think it matters at this point. So let's just get another one of these. Let's play Ob Nixilis first. Just get rid of the Thief of Sanity. They get the 2 cards, but I just don't want that Thief of Sanity to do anything. Get some life gain. Get some damage. Next turn we can play Liliana. They'll have, you know, if they play something now, hopefully it's not another fucking Thief of Sanity. If it is what it is. But a Treacherous Blessing would be huge for us right now. What is your play here? Okay, so he kills our Leyline Prowler, which unfortunate, but don't need more lands at this point. We'll play her. We'll decline. Attack with the Paradise Druid. I'm gonna regret that. But hopefully they have other targets that they want to get rid of. Hopefully Ob Nixilis or Vraska. Okay. So we'll play her. Does this have trample? It does. So we'll create a zombie. We'll sack that zombie. Draw a card. Another Paradise Druid, another Liliana. We're going to have to destroy that creature. They'll draw 2 cards from it. If they want to replay it, they can. But I feel like keeping them at bay has been somewhat effective so far. Or at least keeping their board clear has been somewhat effective so far. Okay. That's fine with me. We can -4 with Liliana. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures. If we so choose. When Lazav enters the battlefield, surveil 1. I'm not too worried about a 1/1. We'll create the black zombie. We'll play out another Paradise Druid. Let's see if he wants to block. We have the other Paradise Druid, so we have more ramp if we need it. He can attack down our Ob Nixilis, but at this point, that's fine. We get the card draw because he died, and we got exactly what we wanted, which is a Garruk. So we can play out Garruk. We can minus with Liliana. You know, hopefully he plays out a couple creatures here. If he plays out 2 creatures, we are just fire flames. Or she, you know, Megu could be a girl. If he or she plays out 2 creatures, we are in a good way. And I don't think whatever he plays is going to have haste. That is fantastic. All right, so I want to make sure I get this right. Create these 2. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures. We sacrifice both wolves. Do we get really greedy and get rid of our 2/2? I think we do. Because I don't think he's going to have anything hasty. And I think we have enough mana now where we can attack here. I don't think we need the Paradise Druid for ramp. So now what we do is we ult with Garruk, and then we play with Liliana. We put in a 2/2, which becomes a 5/5. Vraska, I guess, can just kind of sit pretty. Alrighty, so... Treacherous Blessing, we get the draw 3. Play out another Paradise Druid. Mystic Repeal, Treacherous Blessing. Get rid of that. We'll cycle the Zagoth Triumph just to see what we get. We get a Swamp. So if he wants to swing all in here, we can. That's absolutely fine. But methinks he won't be doing that. Worst comes to worst, we're just at a stalemate and he loses a life every time he draws a card. At the very least, he can't fuck with our Paradise Druid. He could kill our tokens, but our next turn we get 2... We get 2 wolves. Alright, so I don't know why he did that. He should have absolutely and unequivocally killed the token that was unblocked. Okay. So he had something for that. So he's trying to decide what he wants to kill, but he wants to kill her. So we'll block. No matter what, we die. We'll block her, because if she does damage to a planeswalker... Oh, she does damage to a planeswalker anyway. So we should have just... Well, it doesn't matter, I guess, really. So, let's see here. Do I have enough mana for this and Casualties of War? I think we do. Let's just get rid of the Thief of Sanity. Just so he can't attack above us, because we don't have a lot of answers for that. It's Casualties of War, destroy target creature, destroy target land. We'll kill... Actually, let's kill the vampire. And then we'll get rid of... whatever, who cares? This. We're not going to sacrifice anything. A 6/6 with trample. This is the exact kind of deck I wanted to come up against, because I feel like low to the ground decks will make for fun for us. So he just put a bunch of stuff back in his library. It's mutating onto there. So let's see. I am going to play a Treacherous Blessing. Hopefully you get a Murderous Rider, which we do. Get rid of that, because that would be a problem. He is now dead. Can sacrifice a permanent, and that permanent is going to be Treacherous Blessing. Alrighty. Plus with her. Another zombie. Do this with him. There we go. And we'll just play out the Murderous Rider. We get a 5/6. All attack. And that's game. Alrighty. Our next opponent is Zosin. Zosin. Not a huge fan of not having ramp, but we could draw into it. We have a turn 2 play. We have a turn 3 play. Let's go for it. This is greedy, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes. We're playing a Luris deck, so that's not sick. Kai's Wrath. Spells from anywhere other than their hand. That's fine. Sacrifices the rest. It's their only early play, so we're just going to get rid of it. I mean, they have Luris, which sucks. So they play All Seed. He can play Luris, but I'm not going to play our Leyline Prowler out there because he has the Kai's Wrath. We'll fetch a forest because we don't have one out there. We're going to play Treacherous Blessing. We have the mana open to get rid of it right away, too. Mystic Repeal it. We'll swing in. Why not? Potentially get some lifelink out of it. Get 2 points of life. Alright. So this might be a situation where we Murderous Rider. We're going to save the Scry lands until we have to play them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's Murderous Rider. The Lurrus, because I don't want that to be able to recur some of his stuff. And I'm not going to play a Leyline Prowler into this, because I know he has the Kaya's Wrath. Kill, get the lifelink. He gets a 1/1 soldier with lifelink. That's far from a big deal for us. If he wants to Kaya's Wrath now, that's okay with me. I think we need to do better than land at this point. Get a little bit of a board presence if he wants to swing in. If he wants to swing in with Lurrus, it'll die. If he wants to swing in with whatever. If he Kaya's Wraths now, it kills our wolves, but doesn't kill Garrick. If he wants to swing in with the, you know, all of his creatures, that's fine with me. I don't know why he would do that. Probably better to save that as a blocker. All right. So. Actually, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can play 1, 2. So this is 5, 7, 6, 7. Kill one of our own wolves. And I know about that Kaya's Wrath, so I don't know if I want to play stuff into that, but we'll just play out the Paradise Druid, because we don't need ramp at this point. If he wants to Kaya's Wrath all this, that's fine by me. Do some damage. This doesn't make a lot of sense. Ah, the recursion with Lurrus. That's interesting. Well, I'll let you draw 2 cards, but that Lurrus is gone. Hmm. Interesting. We'll put just 2 more on the board. We'll sack one of them. And we'll put a Murderous Rider on the board. So, a creature. We'll choose him. We'll choose him. All right. In the end, that kind of worked out for us. He can Kaya's Ghost form, but what do I care if he Kaya's Ghost forms right now? We'll just make more sick wolves. If he plays the Mythos of Snapdax again, we'll just keep our Leyline Prowler, keep our Garruk. And we have another Garruk in our hand, so if he wants to make us choose again, easy choices. Fine with me. So what does he choose? Lurrus and Allseed. He's going to have to sack Allseed. Or actually, maybe I should have targeted Allseed. Because now he has protection from black. You can replay the thing, but we already have enough in our hand. Let that be a lesson to you. So always target the Allseed first. So he can replay the Allseed, and that's probably all he can replay. If he replays anything else, we'll just kill the Lurrus. Okay. So we're going to keep the Druid. We're going to keep this. We're going to keep him. Easy choices. He's got to be running out of those options at this point. So that was an oops. But now that we're not oopsing. Kill the All-Seed. Murder Shredder the Lurrus. And he's done. So there you go. It's just some of what the deck can do. Alrighty, so just to kind of go over, the weaknesses that I saw with this deck is flyers. If they have flyers on the field, it's over. This deck is so low to the ground that, as soon as a flyer is on board, your removal is few and far between, and the removal that you have is kind of not preferable. Destroying a target creature with Ob Nixilis but giving their controller 2 cards kind of sucks. If they have a bunch of flyers, you can't just give them all that card advantage. It sucks. You really want to be using Ob Nixilis to destroy your own wolf, to be drawing 2 cards for yourself. And that's the way it is. Liliana, you're waiting for 6 mana to get a Liliana on the field to just, to sacrifice 2 creatures. By the time Liliana's played, you're probably sacrificing your board presence, and they're probably already much more established. So, if you need removal, maybe cut Agonizing Remorse and put in Assassin's Trophy, so that you have, if they have flyers and stuff, you can just Assassin's Trophy them down to a board presence that is manageable, and maybe this all works. So that's one weakness I saw. The card draw is actually not a huge problem with Treacherous Blessing, and with all the abilities that they have with creatures and destroying them and drawing cards and sacrificing and drawing cards and all this stuff. There is enough card draw here to keep your hand full, to keep your options open. If you're going to cut something, maybe Agonizing Remorse for Assassin's Trophy, and then Ob Nixilis isn't necessarily totally needed. If you don't want to do the Super Friends thing, you want maybe a more competitive deck, cut Ob Nixilis, maybe put in, cut 3 Ob Nixilis, put in 1 more Casualties of War, and then you can put something in on the lower end to kind of help out with early plays. Especially in best of 1, you're going to need some earlier interaction, earlier plays. So maybe cut him, and instead of cutting Agonizing Remorse at all, maybe just cut him and put in Assassin's Trophy, something like that. But overall, it's a fun deck. I really like it. I mean, I love the combination of, I love this combination of Planeswalkers. I love Liliana mixed with Garruk and Vraska mixed with Garruk. I love Ob Nixilis mixed with Garruk. He's kind of the star of the deck, Garruk. He's kind of he's what everything hinges on. Getting those wolves out and then ulting with him, getting those wolves out, sacrificing those wolves, getting those wolves destroyed one way or another, and then ulting with him so that everything is +3/+3 and has trample. Ideally, you can ult with him, and then eventually with Vraska, you get her -9, where you deal combat damage to a player and that player loses the game. So with all your creatures with +3/+3 and trample, one of your creatures will get through and get trample and do some damage to the other player, opposing player, and you win that way. Alternatively, like in most of the games you saw, it doesn't even take that much. As long as you can ult with him, everything gets +3/+3 and trample, and then he can just keep pumping out 5/5 wolves. It can be pretty devastating, and it's hard to keep up with. So really like the higher end combination. The lower end could use some work, and that's about it. I mean, overall, it's a fun deck to play. So, if you saw it and liked it, absolutely go out there and kind of play around with this. Golgari is one of my favorite color combinations. I think, obviously, black has kind of been pushed to the side to some of the other colors out there in the meta right now. I think it's a little... I mean, I know it's underplayed, but it's a color that I've always really liked. And, I'd say black and green. Green is definitely the... green and white are the weakest colors. They're never really ever... Probably green is the weakest overall, because even white makes it in, blue-white control and stuff like that. But green is probably the weakest color. So seeing green get some play, and green and black, especially because black I feel like is a strong color that just gets pushed to the side to better options in blues and reds and things like that. So, yeah, very solid deck. Have a lot of fun with it. If anybody has any suggestions as to cards that could make this, improve this, any cuts, let me know. But that's what I have so far, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So see you in the next one.